What's up, folks? I'm Odd, by the way, and welcome back, actually, to I don't know what to call this, like a random D&D roller challenge. So, this is my character roller. When I say mine, I mean mine. I made it in Godot a couple months ago. The first video on this kind of goes into more detail and shows some of the little bits and pieces, but I won't get too far into that. It's available to download on itch.io. It's pretty simple, so it is available for free. I think it's like through donation, but you can just put 0 if you really feel like it, or you can give it a little tip. Regardless, we're going to be playing with this today, and I thought that it would be fun, okay, because this gives you two options. A boop. You can do a standard roll, which will allow you to just roll a single character of a myriad of races or species, depending on what you want, along with a random skin tone, gender, species, class, whatever you so desire. And you can choose between these, or you can use all of them for an added challenge. That's the general idea, right? And I try to do the second as much as I possibly can. I don't often go for the skin tone because this is a truly random color. It's like the most random part of all of this, so it doesn't really always turn out very pretty. But I do sometimes try to encapsulate the vibe of the color and make it maybe like their main or accent color, depending on how it looks. So, even though this says skin tone. And yeah, it's D&D adjacent, but I have changed the names of some things you might see and added a couple more, removed a couple more for simplicity's sake. So yeah, it's just a fun little roller though, and I have fun like making it, and I have fun rolling stuff from it. And I thought, as I was going to get into it, sorry for that tangent, because there are two options, instead of doing a particular episode on one or the other, that I would leave it up to the fates, because I have with me a very large D20 that my brother got for me. It's like the size of my palm. It makes quite a racket, but it's fun to play with. It's fun to fidget with too. It just feels nice. But yeah, I figured that we would do this kind of like a coin flip. So it's funny because it's like the D20 nature of it isn't really all that necessary. But like, so numbers 1 through 10 are going to be heads. And I'll say that's for standard, and 11 through 20 are going to be the hybrid species, so tails. I figured that we would do that for each character. I don't know if I'm going to be able to show this up. I will record with my phone. But yes, let's just get right into it and see which of these two buttons I need to press first with my die. Loud noises. E on the top. 16, so that's going to be tails. Right? Yeah. Alright. As you can see here, it has rolled 2 species for us to mix together as a hybrid. That's really all it does. Not quite the challenge to code, but definitely was one of the more finagly things to figure out. So we have a 4-foot tall ranger, another shorty. We got so many shorties in the last couple as well. 4-foot tall ranger, a shifter, i.e. part werebeast of some sort, and bird folk. This is where, like, as opposed to Arakocra or what's the other one, the crow, it would just be whatever bird you feel like, because I feel like that works anyway. Gender non-binary. We very rarely get binary genders here. Initially, when I coded this, I accidentally made it so that you couldn't roll them in. Did fix that. And the skin tone is this kind of gray color. So I will take a screenshot of that. Next selection, and we are going back to the die for our heads or tails. Loud noises. Whoop. 10. Okay, just on the end of heads. So a standard non-hybrid character. A boop. A merfolk? A merperson? A man! Hey, we haven't gotten a man before. 10 feet tall artificer merfolk. Skin tone green though. That works for a merperson, a merman. Oh my god, the randomness of this, especially with the heights. The heights get insane, and sometimes, like, I just kind of make it a little bit more relative, just so it makes some sense. I don't know Although, at the moment, It feels like we might be getting a very piratey crew. But otherwise, I don't know how this is going to work. I'm gonna have to see, like, how some people get around mermaids. Is it like an H2O situation? Did any of y'all watch that show when you were little? When I was a teenager, one of my friends was obsessed with it, so we watched a lot of it. I wasn't the biggest fan, but it was fun. Girls turned into mermaids. I think there was one guy, characters turning into mermaids when they hit water, as opposed to just being like that all the time. Okay, last selection, because I like rolling 3s, and I will do our final roll with the die. Loud noises. 7. Okay. So another standard non-hybrid. We'll roll. 10 foot tall again. I don't know if I'm going to be able to register these heights, guys. It likes to roll really tall or really short characters. All of the heights up to 10 feet are in there, so I don't know why, but it just does. Like, the bottom and the top of the list are the most likely of the range to get hit. For me, at least. I don't know. Download this yourself and tell me what you think. What do you think this is? 10 foot tall, another artificer, a dog folk, a woman, with a purple skin tone or mane tone. Okay. Well, I'm gonna grab a screenshot of you. And I think my cat wants it. So, we are good. With some perfect timing. And I will try and sort out this arrangement of characters, which is quite intense. I am still getting some, like, piratey vibes from the 3. Like, we got, like, the artificer doesn't totally make sense, but there can be like tinkerers on, like, a ship, you know? Like maybe the two artificers know each other. They are both 10 foot tall. I swear it can roll more. Hold on. Hold on. Roll. Roll. There we go. 6 foot tall. See? See, it can do different. It can do different things. Hold on, let me pop you over to clip here too. So yes, we have our 4 foot tall ranger, a shifter, i.e. part werebeast, but also a bird. It's kind of giving me like parrot vibes, which is why I was saying it could be very much piratey, along with the merfolk. The merman, who is also an artificer, like I said, could be a friend of the canid person that we have here. So I'm curious as to what I can do with this. Obviously, it's a range. It's a lot. And that's kind of part of the fun of it, right? So, at that, I'll roll this over to Speedpaint voiceover, and we will figure out what I did with these 3. So, I'll see you there. First up, we have our only hybrid of the 3, the Birdfolk Shifter. Because I'd picked up kind of a nautical vibe between these roles, I felt like it would make sense to have the creature responsible for the shifting lineage to be a nautical animal of sorts. Apparently there are seawolf werebeasts, but I went for another existing creature that, if it isn't straight up in D&D already, it probably has been homebrewed, the Selkie. Selkies have the ability to change into seals. I guess in that regard it's more like a wild shape, but I'd assume it'd be more prominent than that, especially if Selkies are kind of their own species. Looking them up, they seem very similar to like mermaids. Initially, I was thinking of a scarlet macaw to go for that sort of pirate vibe, but I figured if I was doing an aquatic mammal, the aesthetic would better fit some sort of seabird, so I went for an osprey instead. I've had the pleasure of seeing a few osprey in my life. I live inland, but they like the rivers and lakes here. They are big birds, which is made all the more shocking by the fact that I usually have only seen them being chased off by crows. Apparently, crows hate birds of prey. I've seen them chase off hawks, too. I can only assume the raptors eat their babies, or knowing crows, one did like 7 generations ago, and their descendants have suffered since. It's just so funny seeing a pretty formidable raptor being bullied by like 1 or 2 crows. Rarely a whole murder. Maybe they are just parents trying to get them away from their babies. Maybe this character has some sort of blood feud or enemies to lover situation with a kenku. This is Seahawk, not to be mistaken for the She-Ra character, or the Seattle football team. Their mother was a Selkie and their father was a seafaring birdman. The two had a sweet relationship that resulted in the birth of Sea, but one night they woke to find their father killed and their mother, along with her pelt, gone. Seahawk is now searching for the person who stole their mother away. Sea has the gifts of air and water on their side, and when shifted, can swim incredibly fast and glide out of the water like a flying fish. Unlike their mother, they can't fully shed their pelt. In theory, there's a possibility they could appear more humanoid, but Seahawk has never bothered to try. Their flight is a little limited by the weight of their ever-present seal tail and their pelt, but gliding on ocean breezes has never been an issue. Their keen eye and agility make them great with a crossbow or two, or a harpoon gun, should the opportunity arise. In their search for their mother, Seahawk has been taken onto the crew of an infamous pirate, but we'll come back to that. Next up, we have the Artificer Merman. Apparently, green merfolk in D&D already have a froggy kind of vibe, which is good because that was my first thought. I wound up going somewhere between a tree frog and a poison dart frog for the pattern of this boy, which is funny because neither are really all that amphibious anymore. Don't really, they live on trees, not in the lake very often, but it's just for the aesthetics of it. Since I got two artificers, I figured I'd make this one more of kind of an alchemy and poisons guy, but he's still got some of the more interesting gadgets, mainly his gloves. I made his gloves and goggles look more like a tree frog's eyes and feet. Initially, I thought of going much more froggy in the face, but I did decide to lean more humanoid this time, challenge myself a bit. My usual comfort zone resides in making weird little creatures. Shocking, I know. Of course, later I decided to frogify his eyes a little bit more. Also, if he has his goggles down, he probably looks a little bit more like a creature too. A good compromise, I think. This is Dart. Dart didn't initially come from the sea, but the swamp. He was left as a lone tadpole in a murky lake and became the local swamp monster. His poisonous-looking appearance didn't help much, but one boy was brave enough to approach him and quickly became his childhood friend. The boy was a tinkerer and had a fascination with animals of all kinds. The two studied together, and Dart quickly found he had a knack for science himself. He would tinker here and there, but was more interested in magic, particularly alchemy. Dart is able to leech poison from his skin at will and made a number of concoctions with it, including antidotes in case he needed them. Sometimes an undue amount of stress can cause an instinctual release of poison, or perhaps for something more sinister, though Dart never figured he'd need to. That is, of course, until the little town in the swamp was set ablaze while Dart was resting in the water. Many of Dart's newfound friends were left dead in a raid, presumably by pirates who had come up from the river. Dart couldn't find his friend's body, though, and caught a glimpse of hope that maybe he could still be alive somewhere. Dart took some of the devices that his friend had made for him, a pair of gloves that channeled magic, along with goggles, and a water respirator he could put over his gills in case he decided to use an airborne toxin or a smoke bomb. With that, Dart set out for the sea for information and possibly revenge. He met Seahawk at the harbor and they offered him a job because their captain might have an idea, or at least an in, to who may have destroyed his hometown. Initially, he was suspicious of any and all pirates, but Seahawk assured him it was just them and their captain at the moment, had been for months, and they wouldn't have been able to do that much damage if they wanted to. The two also partially bonded over their seafolk heritage and the prejudices that came from the more snobby blue merfolk of the sea. Finally, we have our second artificer, this one a dog woman. I'm sure that there are a myriad of species that could fit dogs the way that Tabaxi does cats, but my initial inspiration for adding this species to the roller was actually Dungeon Meshi and its depiction of the kobolds as dogs. Apparently, they used to be depicted as kind of goblin-like creatures with vaguely both draconic and dog-like features, and while wizards adapted them into little lizard people, Japanese high fantasy games made them more and more dog-like. Weird little tidbit of information I wound up learning. Regardless, I thought it would be fun to make a pirate dog folk lady inspired by the Afghan Hound. You know those really silky, long-haired dogs that look like glamorous ladies? Yeah, those. I hadn't even really intended it, but the purple that I rolled wound up going in her hair, and that sort of wound up tying her to Seahawk, whose ear I tipped purple just for funsies initially. Don't you love accidental visual storytelling? I did wind up making her little robot animal companion look like a scarlet macaw, since I ditched the first inclusion that I had the idea for it. I figured she would be more tech and weapon-centric, so she also gets a gun. It also just fits the whole kind of swashbuckling vibe we seem to be going for here. This is Purple Peggy. She's an ill-reputed pirate queen for the ages. Sharp of mind and shooting, she's a force to be reckoned with. If you happen to get on her good side and ask her what she's after, she'll tell you a story of freedom and revenge. How she once lived a steppy life up with the elites, but when her family home was ransacked by pirates, she took the opportunity to run away and start a new life. She's looking for the brutes who raided her home for revenge and to take back her family fortune, of course, but really she should be thanking them. Of course, spend some time with her, say like Seahawk, her first mate, and you may start to piece together a different story. One of a girl named Margaret, who felt stifled by high society, yes, but was noticed for her brightness by the people who mattered, whose home was taken from her violently, and who only survived by sheer luck and cunning, who dyed her hair with streaks of purple because it was her sister's favorite color, who honestly kinda hates the nickname Peggy. Regardless, she's got a reputation to uphold and scallywags to find, apparently alongside some kids she's accidentally adopted somehow. Those are my characters for today, and my party, apparently. I do sort of like to tie these results together, and it usually works pretty well. D&D and TTRPGs in general are kind of set up to allow for those multiple characters of varying species and backgrounds to band together. Let me know what you think, and which character is your favorite, and which character you would play. They might be different. I really like Dart, but I would probably play Seahawk if I could make a ranger that is, like, actually effective and doesn't suck. Be sure to give this video a like if you did like it, and subscribe to catch more of this or equally nerdy fun art stuff that I do in the future. I post at least once a week on Speed Paint Saturday. But at that, I'll leave this here, and I'll see you all next time.